this should pop up here. We get some like pip and all that setup tools. It looks like it install finish, and now you're all done. So now what you should be able to do is, for example, we can go to computer and you can come over into your C drive and you should have a Python 34 directory. And within there is basically everything. Now, to program in Python, you're going to do the following things. So it really depends on preference. Now, some people prefer to type in a interactive or live IDE, and IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. Python's IDE is actually called idle, like IDLE, and the L is literally just the development, so nothing special about it. It's still an IDE. And so there are other IDEs as well. Eclipse is a popular IDE that people use, especially for like Java. And there's a Python extension for it. Also, Wing IDE is a paid IDE that is very popular among Python programmers. You're also going to see people using IPython Notebook, which is a live interpreter. I prefer to just use the basic IDE, so that's what we're going to be showing in this series, and I'm going to show you now how to get to that. So if you've installed Python 3, what you're going to want to do is go to your start bar, and then you click on All Programs, and then you should have Python 34, and if you come down, you should see idle, and then in parentheses Python GUI. Click on that, and up should pop something that looks like this. Now this is basically it is a Python shell, and it's a live interpreter, so you can type stuff into here, and it's going to basically input this into the Python and be interpreted as Python code. So if we just entered this isn't very valid code, so if we hit enter, we actually get an error, and it says that's not defined because it was expecting it to be a variable. But now we can actually, let's type our very first program just to kind of show off this interpreter here. And for now, we're just going to have it output something to console. So we're going to use this print statement, and we'll cover that a little bit more in the next chapter here. But for now, print and then put two round brackets here, and then two quotes. And let's just do a simple hello world. Now, when you've done that, we can hit enter, and we see that the output is hello world. So this is just a simple print statement, but it basically is showing the live nature here. So after we finish this line, it basically threw out, this was your input line, this is your output line. Now, I don't really like programming it in this sort of fashion where everything is live and each line that you write has, is input and then you get the output. I don't really like that. I like to just program more of a notepad type fashion. So to do that, we're going to go File, New File, and now you have this blank sort of document, right? So we can also type the same thing that we just typed here, right? So we can go print and hello world again. And this time, to run it, first we're going to have to save this file somewhere. So let's go File, Save As, and we could put it there in Python 3.4. It really doesn't matter where you put it. You can put it wherever you'd like. For me, I'm just going to put it there for now. And let's just say example py. And this is going to be example py, and we're saving it as a .py. So let's just go ahead and hit save, and we're all done. And now when we want to run this program, finally, every time you add new bits of code to this program, you'll have to save it before you run it. But you can either go run module, or you can just use the F5 key, and that will also run it. So if I hit F5 right now, it's currently unsaved, so it's going to come up with this little box here. It's going to say source must be saved. OK to save. I'm going to hit OK. And then we see that there the program has run again. And that's really it. So that's going to conclude this chapter of the introduction to what Python is. Just a brief introduction to this print function, but we're going to cover that more in the next chapter. How to open up the IDE, what's the interactive IDE, and what's just this kind of notepad IDE here, and all of that. So anyways, stay tuned to the next chapter. Hello everybody, and welcome to the second part of our Python 3 Basics tutorial series. In this series, what we're going to be doing is talking a little bit more about the print function as well as strings. Since they go hand in hand, it just makes sense to cover them together. So let's go ahead and get started. So in the previous chapter, we talked about just a simple print, and we did print hello world like that. Now, what we're going to be talking about is some of the rules of the print function. So the print function is going to act like any other Python function, which we'll have to cover in a little bit, but a function basically has its name, and then you put parameters of a function within these round brackets. So the print function, all it's going to do is just output whatever text we put in, or really whatever we put in as the parameter. Now this could be text, this could be a variable, this could be all sorts of things. But for now we're just doing simple strings, which strings are just text. So, as far as strings are concerned, what are some of the rules of strings? Well, first of all, we have to have obviously some sort of quotes around our strings, so we've used single quotes, but we can also have double quotes, so we can do something like this, double quotes. And that will also work. Let's go ahead and save and run that just to see.